Hello Flosstube and welcome to my channel. My name is Angela and this is Flosstube number 29. It's lovely to have you with me on my cross-stitching journey. So welcome to anybody that is new to my channel. It's lovely to have you with me. And for anybody that's been with me for a while or even since the beginning, welcome back. And if you're brand new and you're wondering what this is all about, then this is a channel where I share all of my cross-stitch with you. And I have to say, March Madness, I shared in my last video that I was doing March Madness, has really helped me get my stitchy bug back. I think there's only been one day so far in March that I haven't stitched, and I think that was because I did a couple of night shifts and I just was really tired on one of those days, so I didn't do any stitching that day. But I have got lots of projects to show you that I've been working on, mainly all my Heaven and Earth designs, I have to say. And I'm just absolutely loving it, and I've already got a plan for April which I will share towards the end of the video. So like I say, thank you for supporting my channel, it's really appreciated, and yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing that I've worked on then wasn't any of my Heaven and Earth designs and wasn't part of March Madness, was my temperature tree by the Stitchy Mummy. And yeah, I was playing a bit of catch up because I really didn't do much stitching in February, and I kind of got behind on updating it, but this is where it is at now. Hold it back. It's just looking great, isn't it? So we have had some very cold spells. This sort of purpley colour was a very cold time in February. I think we had snow then. But I still need to catch up with some of February and March. So I'm going to spend a couple of hours on this before the end of March because I still need to do April's branch. And I would quite like to actually get a few more branches done. So I do want to spend a little bit more time on that, but I'm just loving seeing the year progress already. So this is from Stitchy Mummy. She has got a Flosstube channel as well as an Etsy shop. So I will link her channel and her shop below with this temperature tree in below. So that's the first project. So then, as I say, I was doing March Madness. Now, I saw this on somebody's, I think it was either Instagram or Flosstube, and I didn't know where it began, and thankfully one of my fabulous subscribers commented on my previous video to let me know it's to do with a sporting event. So basically I think two teams play each other and whoever wins goes on to like the next round, and that's basically the kind of thing with my stitching. And I've just drawn up very, very quickly with pencil a very rough chart, as you can see here. And basically, yeah, so you do these two, and whichever one gets more stitches goes into the next round, and so on all the way down. So I happen to have 8 Heaven and Earth designs on the go at the moment. So that worked really quite well. So I've touched on all 8 so far this month, and I'm now moving into, as of today, the next round. So I will come back to that as we go through the video. So the first Heaven and Earth design that I worked on was my Faces of Fairy 178 by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. This is what it will look like. And if I've got a before picture, I will pop them in for each of the designs. But this is where it's at now. I'm just loving the colours, and this one is stitched in diagonal, and you can see, hopefully you can see that, I've gone across the top already. So that's as wide as it will go. I'm really loving this diagonal stitching. It's just nice to see the pattern come, and especially when you hold it back, you can really see the pattern coming. So yeah, so this one had 4 hours on it and I did 434 stitches. So what I will say is diagonal parking like that. So basically how I do the diagonal parking is I literally take each stitch at a time. So rows 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9, I go from left to right. and then all the other rows I go from right to left, and it literally is one stitch or one symbol at a time. So whatever stitches there are of that symbol gets stitched on that row at the same time at once, if that makes sense, and then it's parked on the next row down or the closest row down. What I'm trying to do now is just not carry my thread more than 2 boxes. I've carried them a little bit further and I've realised actually no, I just want to carry it no more than 2 boxes. If I am carrying it more than 2 boxes, then I'll end the thread and then restart it when I need it again. But yeah, so that's the Faces of Fairy design. The next one that I worked on was Mini Mountain Cabin by Dominic Davison, and this picture just, oh, I would love to be in a place like that right now. It's just gorgeous, this picture, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. So I've seen some people on their Flosstube channels stitch this, and they are a bit further along than I am, and I just fell in love seeing it stitched. So, oh, going back to, just before I go on to that one, just going back to my Faces of Fairy, this is stitched on 20 count 2 over 1, and Mountain Cabin is stitched on 18 count 2 over 1, and again, if I've got a before picture I will share it. This is, well, I'll show you the bit that I've done and then I'll show it all together. So this is the bit that I did when I was working on it. So I kind of filled in a bit of the pink here, finished this sort of lightish greyish colour, and then I started on the trees here. Lots and lots of confetti stitches in there already, sort of 1 or 2 stitches per colour, and there was about 20 colours in there already. But I just fancy doing something a little bit different to sky, because a lot of my projects have got sky in, and because I always start top left, I always get stuck with the sky, so I just wanted to fancy doing something a little bit different to the sky. So because when I first started this, I was thinking of doing like a colour completion. I have got it all over, and there was a challenge that I did for Enchanted Stitching challenges that required a bit of black. So I ended up doing some black down here, but I think moving forward, I'm not doing this in a diagonal stitch because there are quite a few blocks of colour, and because I started it beforehand, and sometimes I just think actually I don't mind stitching in a different way on a Heaven and Earth design. So I'm literally just going to take the nearest kind of colour and just kind of work down, and then eventually I'll go across until I get to the edge of the top. So that's Mini Mountain Cabin. So like I say, 18 count 2 over 1. These are both already full cross. And Cabin, I did 3 hours and I did 513 stitches. So then the next one, and the reason why I say full cross is because the next one is my one and only tent stitch design, project, whatever you want to call it. It does, for me, it takes a lot more concentration to do tent stitch. This is, like I say, I'm not used to doing it. I know some of you, or a lot of you do a lot of your projects in tent stitch. For me, this is, like I say, my only project, and it does take a lot more concentration. The one thing I do love about it is the speed at which you can sew, really, of how many stitches you can do. So this one is Mini Princess of the Sea by Donna Gelsinger. And again, as you can see, lots of sky at the top. So I started to work down and I got to the little princess mermaid. So as you can see, so before, again, if I've got a before picture, I'll share it. But before, the little girl, sort of, her eyes just looked a bit like goggles. And here we are. So I've done a bit more of the sky. And then I've gone along and I've tried to fill in as much as I can of her face. But when you hold it back, gosh, doesn't it look good when you hold these things back? So next time I work on that, I will do more of the face. Now, this Mini Princess of the Sea has made it through to the next round. So I will next be stitching on this one on the 21st and 22nd of March. But yeah, so this is stitched on 25 count tent stitch, two strands tent stitch. and I can't wait to watch her face come out a bit more. I have to stop there though when I've done her face, because otherwise I'll just abandon the sky, and then that will be the end of, I'll have to do that at the end. So I think I want to do a little bit more sky, try and again go across the top and kind of work down, because there is, as you can see from the chart, probably, you know, the sky's sort of halfway down, and then I've got all the sea. So yeah, so I'm really pleased with that one. Now this one had, how long did that have? That had 4 hours, and I did 1,328 stitches. Like I say though, they are half stitches, but it's just great to see that many stitches being done. And as I say, Princess, because of that, I halved the number of stitches to make it fair for my March Madness chart, but it still managed to progress through to the next round. So that's that one, and I can't wait to get more of the face, more of our face done. So then the next one that I worked on was the QS Spirit of Winter Robin quick stitch. This one I started back in December. Now this one has a really important sentimental value to me. This, yeah, really important sentimental value to me. So that's why I started it in December, because I saw it and I thought, no, I've got to start it. So I've only been doing that one, like I say, for a couple of months. And this was one of the first projects that I started diagonally. I had been watching Needle Ninja, I think that's the name of her Flosstube. Again, I will tag her below. And she was doing, like I say, the stitching row by row, but straight down. And I just thought, actually, I wonder if I could do it diagonally. And obviously with Pattern Keeper, you can get your grids diagonal. So I do a 20 sort of block diagonal. And it's just coming out really, really lovely. So this is it so far. Again, lots of pop threads. But what I like about it is there is lots of, believe it or not, there's lots of confetti, like most Heaven and Earth designs. An awful lot of confetti. So I'm just pleased that I'm doing it a stitch at a time, really. So just here, where are we? Just here was the start of the robin's beak. So I think in this diagonal I'll get a bit more of the robin in. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. I am hoping to have this one done, I don't know if I will, but I am hoping to have this one done by December. Yeah, that might be a bit ambitious. You know me, I've always got very big ambitious plans. So another one that I started in December that I worked on next was, oh, Robin. Let me just go back to Robin before I move on. Robin stitched on 20 count, 2/1 full cross, and like I said, did 3 hours, 271 stitches on Robin. And then the next one that I worked on was another one that I started in December, which is the Story Keep Life is an Open Book New York, to go along with the Paris one that I've already completed. And this one I started on my birthday last year in December. Now this one happened to fall over 2 days when I was working nights. So I only did an hour each day, so I didn't really get much done. And again, this is another one that is done diagonal stitching. And we've got Staten. You can just see the word Staten there. But there is so much confetti in this one. It's like so much. It's yeah, it's a lot of confetti. I think as I come down now, I'm not sure if I'll have as much confetti, but certainly in the word Staten, I can't begin to tell you how many blues there are in that Staten bit. So this one, like I say, only got 2 hours, 200 stitches, and this one is stitched 18 count 2/1. And the reason why I have done it again on 18 count, although I would say my preferred count is now 20 count, is because I did the Paris one on 18, and I want to do the London one as well, and I want to frame them all together, and I thought it would just look better if they were like a similar size. So but I'm really loving it. I love it because it's a bit smaller as well. The actual design is a bit smaller, but yeah. So that's the New York one. And then my New Year start, if you remember last time I was telling you about the fact that I had it on a really big frame. I really struggled to start, when I started it on New Year's Day, with the amount of fabric. I completely underestimated how you deal with the amount of fabric that comes with these large designs. And my boyfriend made me this really big frame, but it was I found it a bit of a struggle, if I'm honest, to kind of stitch with it. So again, I watched Needle Ninja's videos, and she showed how, because she's doing this one, this next project that I'm about to show you, she's doing it, and she showed how she rolls it up and ties it with ribbons around her Q-snap, and I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. The one thing I'll say is I'm doing mine on 20 count and the material's a bit stiffer. I think she's doing it on 25 or 28 count, and her material seems a bit softer, so it seems easier for her to roll hers up. So mine does look a bit bulky when rolling, but it honestly, when I was stitching with it, I was like, oh, this is such a dream to stitch with now. It's not difficult at all. So it's made me love it even more. And this is World Travel Bookshelf by Amy Stewart. I love Amy Stewart's designs, I really do. I'm definitely going to be stitching more in the future. Now this one got 5 hours and I did 441 stitches, again diagonal, and this I think will show why. So this is where I'm at, first of all, and just here, all these colours were just in the final bit of that point. There was just all of these colours here, that final point there. And again, it's just, there's so many different colour changes to make it a gorgeous pattern, obviously, but so many colour changes. But as you can see, it does look a bit bulky here, but it sits on my frame really, really well. And yeah, I'm much preferring stitching. This is now 11 by 11 frame, or Q-snap, and this cover, Grime Guard, is actually an 11 by 17, but because of the bulkiness, it kind of holds it together. And these are obviously my little ribbons tying it all together. But I think as I progress, it will become easier when I move it along, so it's not so bulky on one side. And what I've decided to do is I've decided to do the diagonal stitching and like per shelf. So when I'll carry on until I get to the shelf, and then I will move on to the next diagonal until I get to the bottom shelf. So I just do one whole shelf at a time. I just think that will, yeah, that's where I want to do it really. Now I am using this for full coverage Fanatics 21,000 in 21. So 21,000 stitches in 21, and I'm so behind. But my plan for April is to focus on this piece and another piece which I'm about to show you, and then just have a bit of a free-for-all in April. I'm not going to do any challenges again in April. The only challenges I'm going to do is the 21,000 in 21 to try and catch up with that one, but I'm not doing any other challenges, so I'm literally just going to pick what I fancy choosing to stitch on, because I've got a lot of non-Heaven and Earth projects as well, and I'd love to touch some of those and get some more work done on those. And in fact, with some of them, I could probably even finish them. So that's my plan in April, to have a bit of a free-for-all. I'm just loving the colours on that one though. So like I say, stitch 20 count, 2 over 1. And that one also progressed to the next round. So the last one then, I didn't work on it, but I just wanted to show where I'm at with it, because this is one that I'm going to be working on as of today, the next few days, because this one is the start of the next row of ones to work on. So this is Mini Virus Detected by Randall Spangler. So like I say, I haven't worked on it since the last video, but this is where it is at. And I'm going to be doing some more today, and I want to make this a focus piece in April, because again, This one and the robin piece are the two pieces that I'd love to get finished this year if possible. Now, that might be a bit of a tall order considering we're coming up to the end of March, so we're like a quarter of the way through the year already, believe it or not. But I'm going to try, and if I don't, I don't. But I want to try because I'd love to finish at least one Heaven and Earth design each year. I've probably got enough going on for the next 10 years, especially with my World Travel bookshelf, which is over 400,000 stitches. So, but I'm really loving doing my mini Voyage Detective. So that one and the World Travel bookshelf, like I said, I'm going to make a focus pieces next month, as well as just literally picking what I fancy working on, really. So what have I got coming up over the next week? Well, like I say, I'm going to be working on my mini virus detected, and I'm going to be working on mini mountain cabin, and I'll probably end up doing some of the princess and World Travel bookshelf possibly before I see you next, and obviously catching up with my temperature tree. So I think that's it for today. Like I say, all Heaven and Earth designs really, apart from my temperature tree. But yeah, really loving stitching every single day. I'm lucky enough to be able to plan my own diary, so I always plan in some stitching time around my meetings. So like I say, that's it for today, guys. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen today. And like I say, hope you're keeping safe and well. And until next time, happy stitching. Bye for now.